Hi, I'm DJ Ware. On this episode of the Cyber Gizmo, I'm going to be doing another hardening video. This time we're going to be looking at automating the hardening of Ubuntu 20.04 server. Stay tuned right after this. I've set up a virtual machine today and created something called ubtest, and we can look that this is indeed OS. It is a OS that is Ubuntu 20.04.4. This is the fourth update. Now I know there's a new version coming, of course, but this script that I'm working on or at least I'm working with, it has been used with both 20.04 and 22.04 LTS, but I don't think it's really finished for 22.04 just yet. But so that's why I wanted to use it on this one, because there's more pieces that are developed for this particular part of the release versus 22.04. Besides, it's not out yet, so I don't want to review that. I would end up in a review for that, and I don't want to do that yet. So, all right, let's take a look at what we're going to do today. So, the first thing is there's a GitHub page called Constructoid, and Constructoid has a hardening script here for their particular for their particular needs. Now, this only now according to them, it only works on Ubuntu. And one which uses systemd. However, I did test this under Debian 11. I did have to make a minor change to one of the scripts in order to add the ability to run it, because it does check, and if the release is not Ubuntu, then it just stops. It just says, no, this is only for Ubuntu. But I was able to successfully run it on Debian. What you need to do is, for this script, you need to have your system partitioned as it shows here. Now, I wouldn't worry so much about this part of it. Default will work just fine for this, at least for me it did. But this is where it's going to end up. But you'll need a total of, so we have one for root, one for boot, one for home. We need a swap partition. Yeah, a partition, not a file. And then /var, /var log, /var log audit, and var temp. That's 8 partitions that we will need total. Now, they talk about the temp will be automatically added by the script, but one thing I will tell you is when you run the script, I think it expects those two linked together. You know, like temp is linked over here, but apparently it is not. So there's a couple of interesting issues with this script, but this is one of them where they're talking about you set up your grub password, but then they don't have the instructions here for how to set it, and their script does not set it either. So yeah, this has been one of the issues that I have had with it. I don't know whether to put this in as a global password or put it in as a specific password for one of the, I just don't know what they're expecting here. So, but they do talk about you'll need to make changes to the ubuntu.cfg. And we'll look at that. This is what it looks like by default. So the firewall admin rules are going to apply to the local host. So if you want to prevent, if you want to be able to access your system remotely through another system, then you'll need to use your network address here, and I'll show you how we do that. The other one is down here. You'll need to do a change me, and you just need to put something in there. Otherwise, the script will say, hey, you haven't read the script. Please go back and read it again. Make sure you're clear on what all it is doing. And then here is all of the files that it's going to be working with. So these are all your configuration files that this series is actually a series of scripts that are going to get called here. And down here it tells you exactly what you can do and what you should do. So yeah, and then each of these functions are scripts that this is going to run, and then it shows the execution order of those scripts. There's also 760 bat tests that you can run against this once you're once you've run through it once and applied the hardening changes, just to make sure that the system is properly locked down. They always suggest running on a test host first. The other thing I'll tell you is that if you're using Snap or want to be using Snap, sorry, they turn it off. And that actually is a requirement for some of the security compliance today, is that you're going to disable Snapd. So if you're expecting to use it, then don't run this script. I have brought those down already. And you would, by the way, Git will be removed. So if you need anything else on the system that requires Git, then yeah, you'll need to do this. One thing I will tell you about hardening is if that you're applying this to an existing system that's running, don't be surprised if some things start breaking because your firewall rules are going to be tightened down. You're going to find that some of your modules might be missing, that particular application that you're running is reliant on. And that is normal. Anytime that we have done security hardening in the past, when I have been involved with it on at least with the job that I had as a contractor, yeah, it was not unusual at all to have to undo some of it in order to allow the applications to run. And then we would have to get a variance for that because they required the system to be locked down. So, or we would have to go in and change the application so that it wasn't using features that were required to be hardened. So the first thing I'm going to do here is modify the config. And my network address is that. And then down here, I will add, I'll just put OK in between the quotes here. And then we'll just check, oops, let me get that saved. And then we'll just check and make sure that I have the expect sudo to be inside of the sudo group. If you have a different one that you prefer to use, like wheel or something like that, they do recommend that you change your SSH port, and that's probably not a horrible idea. So let's go ahead and change it to 2222. And then even though I said last time, that's probably something that's probably not a port address you want to use. You'd probably want to use something else, but at least it gets it out of the root level port addresses, which would be which would be anything less than 512. And let's see. I don't have any other changes I want to make here. So one thing you might be interested in is the scripts are located here. So these are all the scripts that it's going to run. It's always a good idea, that when you're playing around with a system for the first time and maybe you're suspicious about what it does or are not quite sure, it's all here for you. You can go through and read through all those and see what it's doing. The other thing is, I would suggest you look through this one too. This is the one that is the wrapper. It's the one that sits outside. As you can see, it is expecting us to run this under bash. Now, I don't have anything installed yet, so I can tell you this needs to be run as sudo and it stops. It says ARP is required, NetTools is required. So let's see. I think all I need is NetTools for that. Yeah, there it goes. So it's happy, and this will take a few moments to run through. Okay, so we're finished. Yeah, my back. Okay, so this is the original. As you can see that I had, now it uses disk by UID, and that's fine. But I had there's my mount for the root, boot, home, var log, var temp, and var log audit, and then my swap file. The new one and then it automatically filled in the hardening. So yeah, it's got, in most cases, no SUID, no dev, and then some of them have no exec. So yeah, where you would not expect to have executables running in log, yeah, you wouldn't expect to see that. So at this point, I can reboot the system. All right, so let's take a look and see what's actually happened here. So I can go back into here and I can install bats, which we will need. In order to run our tests. So let's just go in here and see what we got. So it's going to go through and it's going to check to see how well the system, if it ran into any errors or anything like that during the creation. And there will be a few things that it's going to flag. So we had 17 failures. Your test results. Yeah, it's from today. You know, it's going to show you which ones are failed. Yeah, so yeah, we definitely don't have we don't have that done. And then it's suggesting we have two FA, and then yeah, not using that, and then verify that the cracklight password list is installed, which we don't have installed because we didn't tell it to. So let's see. The other is in miss. So it's in here that you can do things like you can change which rules you're going to be setting. Let's see what we got here in audit control. Yeah, you'll see these are the rules that it has set up. So the one thing I want to do right now before we go too much further is let's just see what we get as a Lynis score. I had 63 before. Okay, let's take a look. 92. And let's see what we got. So there's no warnings. We have this problem still. And the system services, yeah, we still have that problem. We need to add a DNS domain. We need to install app show versions and check our rules. They want us to change these two things. They're suggesting these to be set from 3 to 2. Change our logging to an external host, what deleted files are in use and why. And some of our syscontrol different from what they're suggesting. But, you know, that's not horrible. There's now one thing. Snap is gone. Yeah, so if you're expecting to use that, you won't be using it anymore. So, yeah, we would want to set up a fully qualified domain name for this, and then we can tell this that we're all happy and good. Now, one other thing that we can do in here, it's been a while, but I did a video on SCAP and OpenSCAP some time ago. This is how this would be how most accrediting agencies actually run the tests against your system in order to determine if it's in compliance or not. So I think probably the best thing to do here, let's see, is this a bash script? Probably, it's probably a bash script. Yep, everything else so far has been, and they're very consistent about that. Okay, let's run it. It's going to install the lib OpenSCAP process. And this will manually run the report. It's also bringing down the security guides from, I think these are from DISA. Is definitely in the public domain, and you can view it, you can see what it does. So it says my report has been stored in root under HTML. So let's go over there, put it on the URL. Yeah, there we go. So this is the evaluation report that it just ran, and it's going to go through and tell you, this is basically what it's evaluating against. And yeah, let's see if it tells us the rule set. Compliance scoring. So, okay. So we have out of all of the tests that it made, 190 of them passed. 73 failed, looking at the results of the test. Now, so it's 80%. Okay, we can't, this would be unacceptable, all right? So this wouldn't pass. I can tell you that. This would not pass. And then it comes down and it goes through each of the failure results, and we can go and look at them. So like you have a pass fail. I think there'll be one other, it's like an error. And I think there might even be a fourth one, but if I remember right, there is an error. I was looking to see if I thought I saw we had some errors. We had some here, and then these are not checked. So yeah, so we need to go through this and look at this. Now, if I'm running on a GUI, I can force the GUI to apply all of these changes that it's going to recommend here. So what do we got? So the first thing is these are the rules that it is referencing. There we go. So this is telling you the standard that this one is being applied to. So it's saying it provides detailed technical control. So I could bring down that, and I could spend my weekend reading about why all of these what the security intentions are for all of these rules. Right, so that would help me understand what was going on here. But in this case, let's just go see what the report said. So it says, I need to generate a new database, and by default, the database will be written to this. And I need to initiate a manual check, which I have not done yet. As you remember, when I ran, I did this, but it hasn't done a check yet. It wants me to move it. Oh, it's saying okay. So it's complaining that this file is here, and it doesn't want that here. So yeah, so that's what it's complaining about. So I would need to actually go and not only remove that file, but I would also want to go make sure that in my cron job, when I'm running, AIDC normally runs by a cron job. So I would want to go and make sure that was removing that new file. Otherwise, we'd be out of compliance. So this is relatively minor, right? That's not a big deal. Oops. Let's get back over here. Let's see. Denied failed for password attempts. What do we got here? What's the problem? So these are, again, the references to the rule sets. Fail by limiting the, okay, so it's saying I don't have PAM tally configured to limit the number of attempts to 3. And this should be, these are the remediation scripts. These are done by MITRE. Yeah, so MITRE has put together all these lovely scripts for us. And what I was going to say is if I was running this under the SCAP client, the GUI, you could apply all of these at once and have it just go out and do it on the system. Yeah. You know, most of this stuff is basic setup. Again, it would be nice if our script was set up to do all this for us. And of course, we could go in and make those changes ourselves to the script so that it's doing this. I have a video that I'll link you to on SCAP and how to use it. I'm glad to see Ubuntu is being included in it, because before only Red Hat and some of those type of systems, Solaris, Red Hat, I think Oracle Linux, of course, is in here too, where they actually have their own STIG. So it's good to see a Debian-based system actually has a STIG entry now. I was going to show you, if you're running Debian, the script is, I think it's pre. Let's see. Yeah, Ubuntu only. So right here, you could just put in Debian, and it'll go ahead and run. I guess in my opinion, it's nice to see that someone is actually taking the time to do this. That's all I had for today. I'll put links to the SCAP and also to my previous video on hardening. This one is a nice tool, I think. But like I said, anytime that you're looking at something that's you're downloading scripts for the first time, read through them, make sure you understand what they're doing, and if you don't, ask for help. Don't just go running stuff, and then go, wow, this blew my system up and I can't use it anymore. Security will always lock down your systems to the point where they could lock down your systems to the point where they're unusable. Be prepared for that. It's a good chance that what it's going to do is something you didn't intend it for it to do. So that's all I had today. Hope to see you next time. Please like and subscribe. Bye for now.